Have you ever witnessed such a remarkable display of empathy in an animal? A cow faced imminent danger, yet as she wolf courageously risked her own life to rescue her. The underlying reason behind this astonishing act is truly surprising and will undoubtedly leave you astonished. Diego lived on a farm with his grandparents and father. He loved farm life, especially taking care of the animals. They had many animals, and Diego adored them all. It seemed like they loved him back just as much. His grandfather called this Diego's superpower because he could connect with animals in a special way. During the day, the chickens would roam freely, enjoying the grass and searching for earthworms. But when night fell, it wasn't safe for them to be outside. The farm had many predators, so Diego's grandfather built a special, predator-proof chicken coop to keep them safe at night. But getting a flock of chickens back into their coop was not as easy as it sounds. If you had to catch them one by one, it would be exhausting and take a long time. His father would try to call the chickens, and they would completely ignore him. His grandfather would call, and then one or two of his favorite hens would come to sit with him. But getting the rest together seemed impossible. Then it would be Diego's turn. He would call the chickens, and suddenly they would all run towards him. In seconds, he would have them all safe and sound back into their enclosure. It was really remarkable. As he started getting older, his family allowed him to take on more responsibilities. His grandmother showed him how to assist the cows and some of the horses when they were giving birth. They even allowed him to train some of the horses as they became older. It was a special way of life. Of course, just because he had a special way with the animals did not mean that he didn't help out in other ways too. Their land was large, and they had to check many fences and make changes on the property. His grandfather showed him how to track animals going onto their land. There were predators that could cause a lot of damage if they were not taken care of. The family did not believe in hurting these animals. Instead, they would catch them with traps and then take them to the mountains that lay behind their property. The animals could be free and safe, but they wouldn't come back quickly to hurt the domesticated animals on the property. There were many great moments, but there was one experience that would stand out for the rest of his life. Diego and his grandmother had been taking care of one of the cows that was about to give birth when she got really sick. She was restless and had started to give birth when everything just stopped. Diego's grandmother tried to help the cow, but it was no use. Shortly after delivering her baby, she died. It was sad. The cattle on their farm were kept for the family and a few neighbors to have milk. The rest were sold to people who wanted to expand their livestock. Because of this, they were seen more as pets than anything else. They became like family. Now they had a little orphan calf to look after. The baby was also pretty sick, and they had no other mothers who had lost their young. That meant that none of the cows in the herd would look after her. If they were going to get her better, it would be up to them. Diego took on most of the responsibility of looking after the baby, whom he called Pepper. He would feed her every few hours, give her medicine, and lie next to her. She was his baby, and he did everything for her. When he was at school, his grandmother would care for her, but when he was home, he insisted on doing everything himself. Gradually, the sick little animal started to respond to the care and love that was shown to her. She became stronger, started to run and play like most little cows do. They started allowing her to be with the rest of the herd during the day, and eventually, she stayed with them full time. But each afternoon when Diego came back from school, she would come home and wait for him to greet her. It had been a few years and she was now a full-grown cow that was strong and healthy, but she was still really attached to the family, just as Diego was to her. His father and grandparents had promised not to ever sell Pepper, so at least he knew that she would be part of their family forever. The cows were out at one of the furthest pastures on their land when Diego came home one afternoon. Since this pasture was enclosed to keep the animals safe, he knew that Pepper could not come to the house to say hello. That was why, after eating lunch and taking off his school clothes, he took a walk to the pasture. He expected Pepper to run up to the fence and be excited to see her, but she was nowhere to be seen. He went inside and looked for her, but she was just gone. As he walked around the pasture, he realized that there was a hole in the fence. Had she gotten out? Why wasn't she at home? He went outside to study the tracks outside the fence and saw the tracks of one lone cow walking off. but she was going further away from the land, not towards the home. This could take her to the area of their land that was still very wild and straight into the path of predators. They might think that an unprotected cow would make a wonderful snack. They needed to act fast to save Pepper. Diego called his father, telling him what had happened while his father went back to the house to let his parents know where they were going. Diego started tracking Pepper. He did not understand why she had wandered off, and he had a sick feeling that he wasn't going to be able to get to her on time. Pepper, in the meantime, had walked away from the herd. She just wanted a quiet space. Her instincts took her to a steeper spot. But in this case, her instincts were all wrong. It became harder to walk because the forest became denser. By the time she finally made it to a clearing, she was already very tired. She then picked up a strange smell. Something was out there in the bushes, something that scared her. It was getting darker, and she was frightened. Suddenly, a pack of wolves came out of the bushes. They surrounded the poor cow, ready to attack. She might have been able to fight off one wolf at a time, but there was no way that she could stand against a whole pack. Things looked bleak, but then suddenly, help came from an unexpected source. One of the she-wolves in the pack seemed to have a change of heart. She came to stand in front of the rest of the pack and protected Pepper. Each time one of the wolves tried to attack, she would growl at them and push them back. It was incredible but really unexpected and also dangerous. If the pack decided to turn on its own, this wolf would not survive. She was risking her own life for a cow. That was the moment that Diego found them. He was shocked by the picture in front of him. There was Pepper surrounded by wolves, and one she-wolf stood between her and death. The wolves growled at the boy, but when his father and grandfather came up behind him, they started to run off. The she-wolf was the last to leave. Then it became clear why the wolf protected the cow. Pepper was having a baby, which the family didn't know about. The wolf saved both the cow and her baby. Thanks to the wolf's care, Pepper gave birth to a healthy baby shortly after. Diego's father carried the baby home, where both the baby and Pepper could rest. This all happened because a mother from a different species showed care and empathy. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this story. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.